Good morning, New York Mets Nation, and welcome to the Bat Cave. I'm your host, the Bat Frie, Kenny Fry. It's almost opening day. Tomorrow, opening day. The Mets are back. The mask is back. Let's go. Woo! Let's go, everybody. How exciting. Let me get my hat on right here before I goof everything up. How exciting. I mean, waiting for this since our debacle last November or October, well, I guess we'll say. Just, super excited to get the season rolling and started. Try to make, the wrongs right again. It ended very, very poorly, as everybody knows, as I'm reminded over and over and over again. So super excited to get this season started. I got an action-packed show, of course. You know me. I'm bringing the adrenaline here. So let's start it off real quick here. The opening day lineup. I got my headphones all goofed up right here. So not too many surprises with the opening day lineup. Most of the guys the Mets re-signed, all this money that they're spending like crazy. Most of them are guys that they're just bringing back. We already got a comment rolling in here. My buddy, my main man here, Adam Glenn. Adam Glenn's excited. He says, what's up, Ken? Go Phils. On that one. Thanks for checking in, Adam. Adam checks in all the shows all the time. He's the man. He is out of the box. Mexico Spencer. On the eve of opening day, the Bat Frie is hyped for the season. I am all jacked up. I cannot wait. It's going to be such an amazing race, Mexico. Between the Braves, the Phillies, the Mets, it's going to be a lot of fun this season. And you know what? Even the Marlins a little bit. I think the Marlins are going to be much better than they were in the past couple of years. They're young, they're getting better. So we'll see what happens with them. And and a little bit later, I'll be breaking down the AL and NL East. My predictions for that. So we'll wait for that. We'll get to that in a second here. So the opening day, like I said, the opening day line, most of the money went to guys that they brought back and some newer starting pitching with letting DeGrom go, bringing in Verlander, bringing in Jose Quintana, which I've mentioned before his injury, which is a very unfortunate rib issue. They found a lesion on his I think it was his lung or rib. I don't know, in that area. It's all in there. And they found a lesion, and so they had to have it removed. So he's out until mid-July. I guess they expect him to start stretching his arm sometime in June. Which is, it's good and bad. It's good because it gives Tyler McGill and Dave Peterson a chance to kind of showcase their skill, because these are guys that were in the running as a fifth or sixth starter. Depends on what time of the season. Because Buck said he's going to rotate between a 5-man rotation and a 6-man rotation throughout the season, depending on the stretch. Like if you have a stretch of games where you're getting like a day off or a couple days off in between, you don't really need that 6-man rotation. But when you're hitting that stretch where it's game after day, game after game, day after day, that 6-man rotation helps out a lot. So, Tyler McGill and David Peterson, like I said, a couple of guys that were kind of predicted last year to kind of battle for that 5 spot. McGill started off the season hot last year until he got injured. Came back, like I said before on past shows, came back too early in my opinion, and was not the same pitcher. Really struggled through the last half of the season, the last quarter of the season, kind of when he came back. And but David Peterson pitched really well for us last season, filling in for all the injuries through the starting lineup between DeGrom being hurt, Scherzer getting hurt, and that was pretty much it. It was off and on with those two guys right there. Chris Bassett, who we'd love to have right now, which I begged, please re-sign Bassett, but he's up north right now, so he'd really be nice to have right now. Even Taijuan Walker, to a point, as much as the dude used to anger me, he'd started off the season fantastic, but right after the All-Star break, it always goes downhill for that guy. I don't know what it was. It was just, so frustrating to watch because he had some decent stuff, and he's going to go to Philly. He's going to be like a freaking 18-game winner, and it's going to piss me off something fierce. Maiko, Spencer, how's losing Walker going to affect rotation? Right on cue there. Taiwan Walker, with the injuries right now, it's going to affect it. But I think throughout the season, as everybody starts getting healthy again, and a lot of it depends on what Tyler McGill and David Peterson do. Are they going to be able to pitch what they're capable of? If they are, then we're not going to miss Taiwan Walker at all. So it's it remains to be seen. I think he's going to do very well in Philly as a 4 or 5 starter. And then they have a couple injuries in their rotation right now. But yeah, so it was kind of like a hindsight kind of deal there. It's like, damn, I wish we kind of had him still then. But it's next man up. That's all it is. In sports, no matter what it is, it's always, somebody gets hurt, it stinks, it blows, but somebody's got to step up, next man up, and go from there. Our boy Joel Sullivan, the Sully Squad Joe, says, "Hey Ken, can't wait till tomorrow." Dude, I am so jacked. I'm just pumped. I'm like drinking quarts of coffee. That's what it feels like right now. I'm excited. It's been a while. It was a long winter. You can check Joe out. He has a new show on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. called Extra Innings. He and Paul Lukaku, I think that's how you say his last. I'm not even sure how to say. His first name's Pavel, but they call him Paul. I don't know what the hell that's all about. So you can catch Paul and Joe on Tuesdays at Extra Innings. Joe also is on the Wednesdays college football frenzy at 8 p.m. on Wednesday. Joe does everything. How does the Diaz injury change your outlook? Do you have confidence in Penn still? I think his injury changed the balance of the power a bit. I agree to a point. It all depends on David Robertson, what he's going to do. Is he going to be able to step into that closer role and be able to cinch it down? If he's not, if it's going to be a closer by committee, I think they're going to struggle really, really bad. I heard you guys talking last night on Extra Innings about how that's going to cost them some wins, and I agree. But hopefully the offense makes it a point to less the fewer the save opportunities, the better. Let's put it that way. It seemed like last season, as great as Diaz was, last season he didn't get a whole lot of work through I want to say September, October, because either the Mets were losing, which we all know about, or they're winning by 5 or more runs. So that he wasn't getting those save opportunities. He was getting like an inning of work every 5 or 6 days. So it's the Pen can do it without him, and it's basically a rebuilt Pen. Also, losing Seth Lugo is huge. I really wanted Seth Lugo back. Also, he wanted to be a starter. I can't remember exactly where he went. I think he went out west. I don't think it was Arizona. I think he went out west, or no, maybe the Midwest. He went somewhere else. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to stick to that. He went somewhere else, and having Seth Lugo would be huge right now. But bringing Adam Ottavino back is really big. I think he was our best bullpen guy besides Diaz. There's been rumors that the Mets are looking to pick up Diaz's brother. I don't know a whole lot about him, but I guess I think he's with Cincinnati. If I'm right, who knows? It's a 50-50 shot with me. But I believe he's with Cincinnati, and I think the Reds are asking way too much. Is like a couple prospects and like a first-round pick or something like that. It's something like insane. It's like if I'm the Mets, stick with David Robertson. You brought him in. Lugo's with the Padres. Okay, I knew out west. There we go. Beautiful. Oh, freaking San Diego too. I hate San Diego. Dirtbags. The dude's ear was. I ain't gonna get into it. I'm not even gonna get into it. Joe Musgrove. He can. I ain't gonna. Yeah. Maiko, now Walker will win the Cy Young with the Phillies. Oh, don't even say that. Oh, that makes me want to throw up. I'll tell you what. I'll get to them a little bit later. But they're between Nola and Wheeler, they got a decent rotation. Not the best in the division, but a decent rotation that's going to log a lot of innings. Eileen, you can always bring back. Oh no, bring back Familia. No, I think D-backs released. Yeah, there's a reason why the D-backs released them. That's the reason. There's a reason why the Phillies released them last year. It's Familia is done. Uh, that's right. The Lugo was the Padres. Moving on to our boy Dan. Dan 4279 checking in. Losing Diaz sucks big time. Huge. It really was. Such a bummer the way it happened too, because like it's not like, all right, so you get the celebration part of it. Like I heard Big Mike talking on his 4for4 locker room podcast, saying Reese Hoskins got hurt by fielding a ball. At least he wasn't dancing like the Mets closer. He wasn't dancing. They were celebrating a pretty big win over the favorite. I think it was Mexico, or no, Dominican, whoever it was. But they were one of the favorite teams going into the tournament, and the dude was barely hopping like 4 inches off the ground, and it's just one of those crazy ass things. Like it's hard to tell. Like I watched it a million times. I'm waiting to see did somebody bump him or step on his foot and just kind of like buckled it. I can't see anything, but they're barely jumping off the ground. It's just one of those shitty things. Just like Reese Hoskins going back for that. I think it was a grounder or a pop up. Just fielding a ball. It happens. It's sports. Shit happens. Dan says Strider, Cy Young. It very well could be Strider or Max Fried. I'm looking at next next episode in 2 weeks. I'm going to go over my predictions for season awards. I'll do Cy Young, ALNL, and I'll do MVP and stuff like that. The typical awards. I'm not going to get too crazy like a comeback player of the year and all that other stuff. I'll just do your main ones. The ship has sailed. I think that's what that says. Yes, there it is, sailed. He must have been hurt before that and did not know. And very well could it could be. There could have been something there already. And I said to my daughter, who probably could care less when I'm talking to her about it. I said to her, thankfully it didn't happen while he was pitching, because it just seeing something like that, like a leg buckling or anything like a catastrophic injury, just makes me want to throw up. It gets me sick to my stomach just like thinking about it. Gives me the heebie-jeebies, the willies, the goosebumps. I hate it. Seeing stuff like that. Just imagine him sticking his plant leg down and just get all buckling and man. Yeah, I don't even want to think about it now. It's right down the spine it goes. So back to the Mets opening day. Mets opening day lineup. So much like last season's lineup, actually almost identical, to be honest with you. There was a couple versions of it, but not a whole lot of craziness last year. It was pretty depending on who was injured. Marte was in and out of the lineup a lot. So leading off, we have Nimmo, center field. He's been dealing with an ankle issue. See a big contract for him in the offseason. I thought for sure Nimmo was gone. And I thought Uncle Steve was going to throw a lot of change at Aaron Judge. So the Yankee fans are happy that Judge stayed and Nimmo stayed. Batting second, just like last year, Starling Marte. If he could stay healthy, he's a huge key to our offense and defense. He's really, really good out there in right field. Decent arm. And I think he can run. I think there's a chance for more stolen bases, more opportunity for stolen bases with Starling Marte. He doesn't steal much. But I think there's with the bigger bags, that extra little bit, man, that's going to make a huge difference, because you watch some of those replays with stolen bases, they're so close. I mean, it's just, and that's that extra little bit. I think it's going to make a big difference. You're going to see more attempts and more steals. I've said that before, but I really believe it. Batting third, Lindor. Lindor, huge season last year, huge bounce back season, his second full season in New York. I expect big things again this year. Maybe even MVP type season. He had 20 plus home runs last year, over 100 RBI, and now he's going to actually get a chance to field his position mostly without the shift happening. So that's going to hopefully add to some highlight reel type stuff. So I could see Lindor possibly, if he plays up to his potential, stays healthy, I could see Lindor, being talked about a little bit in the MVP race, not winning it, but I could see him being talked. Absolutely. Alonso batting fourth, obviously. Big man led the league in RBI last season. Broke the Mets single season record for RBI, 131, I believe it was, 40 home runs. Has been super consistent at the plate. Last year, much better with the average, hitting 270 plus. So I expect the same thing. Maybe not 270 again this year. Maybe more like his past season. 250, 260. Really good for a big bat. For your cleanup hitter. If your guy's hitting 40 home runs, usually you have those freaky ones like an Aaron Judge hitting over 300. But usually your big bats are hitting mid twos, 250, 260, maybe hitting 270. But that's kind of where you expect them. Now that this is a little bit of a change, Jeff McNeil, he's bounced around in the lineup so much. He was the one guy that you've seen leading off, batting second, batting ninth, batting seventh. So right now, from everything that I've seen, they have him batting fifth. I haven't seen an official opening day lineup. This is all predictions. And I've seen a couple with him batting seventh. I've seen a couple batting fifth. I won him at fifth. So that's what I'm going to stick with. Jeff McNeil batting fifth and playing second base. The batting champion in the National League. It's going to be a great race again. Freddie Freeman, I thought was injured. I don't know if he's good to go for opening day. I know there's some issues there. I'm not 100% sure what it was. But we got a comment here. 6'9" to 6'11. Mets come to the Pirates. Out of the box sports road trip with the Bat Frie and Maiko. There we go. Put it. You know what? I'm going to be in Tennessee then. I'm in Tennessee from the 9th to the 15th. So we're gonna have to wait till another next season, I guess. Because this with the new schedule, everybody plays everybody. So you're gonna get a lot of teams home and aways and stuff like that, and they'll be playing interdivision a lot less. Like I think last year was like 18 or 19 against each other. This year it's gonna be like 12. So McNeil, I like him batting fifth. I like him batting after Alonso. Big Pete, he goes in stretches. All those RBIs for Big Pete, but every once in a while he goes cold with runners in scoring position, and it's nice to have a guy like McNeil there that puts the ball in play. Just slapping the ball wherever to kind of move those runners along or get those runners in. So I like him batting fifth. Canada batting sixth and hit out in left field. Fairly consistent last year. He started off super hot, then leveled out for the rest of the season. I like him in left field. He's a decent fielder. Our outfield is solid. In my opinion, I ranked every position. If you go back to past episodes, I think I did the outfield first, I believe. I like our outfield. I think I ranked them second, actually, in the NL East. I don't remember. But yeah, I like Canada batting sixth and Vogelbach. This is the sore subject for me. Yeah, Vogelbach batting seventh. He's a specialty hitter, so he'll hit against right-handed pitching mostly. But it's so inconsistent. It's pulling my hair out last year. The catching position at the plate hitting, and the DH spot hitting just so inconsistent last year. So frustrating having guys on and just they go up there and either pop it up or strike out. So I would have liked the Mets to keep one of their young guys up just to get them experience at DH, just get them at bats before you'll get them some time in the field, but mostly just at bats. And so I was kind of bummed that Vogelbach as of right now is listed as the DH. We also have Guillorme too. So I mean, I'd like to see Guillorme. If Guillorme is not going to play the field, I want to see Guillorme at least DH because he is a decent bat. 8, Eduardo Escobar, which shocked the shit out of me. He had an spring, so-so, and Brett Beatty was just killing it in spring. But they sent Brett Beatty down to AAA. I was really, really surprised by that. And then catching, you have the platoon of Narvaez and Nito, and Narvaez is going to get the start. That's one of our offseason acquisitions. So that's the opening day lineup that I like the best that I've seen of all the predictions out there. Scherzer is predicted to be our opening day starter, and you'll have Verlander as the opening day home starter. I think that's next week sometime. Dan says, let's do Mets versus Braves trip at City. That would be awesome. But I'll tell you what, I'm a what they call a country bumpkin. Driving in the city scares the crap out of me. Absolutely terrifies me. I went up to a couple Mets games with a buddy, and I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'll go." I said, "I'll pay for my own ticket." I said, "I'll pay for gas, but so you're driving." And this is back before cell phones and GPS. I have a piece of paper for MapQuest, and we're in the city. I'm just looking. He's like, "What does it say?" I'm like, "Make a right on I don't know 111th Street or something." I'm looking. I'm like, "But it says it's a bike lane." I said, "What the hell does that mean?" I'm like, it's so scary. I like I start getting the sweats, like like the meat sweats or whatever. I start getting the traffic sweats, and if I get lost in New York, what's gonna happen? Or the chud's gonna get me, the cholos. I don't know. I don't know what the hell's gonna happen. That's does that mean I have to join a gang? I don't know. I don't want to find out. It makes me really nervous. I would take quick story here, story time. I'm kind of all over the place right now. I'm all amped up. But years ago, before we had kids, myself and Mrs. Fry went up to New York City on a bus trip. We had an audition for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Couples Edition. So we had to go up to New York City to I don't know, I guess it's NBC Studios, I think it was, and take a test, which is insane. Some of the questions they ask on this test, like, what are they talking about? So we didn't get picked. I don't know if it was me or her, but it could have been both of us. I don't know. I'm going to say it was her. Anyway, we took a bus trip up there, and we did a lot of walking around after our tests and stuff like that. And it was really neat, the city. I really enjoyed it. We went on a subway. I don't remember where the hell we even got it and where we went. I don't remember, so long ago now. But some interesting people. I gave a lady $2. A guy giving pamphlets out for AIDS awareness spit on me. So yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, it was interesting to say the least. There she is, Eileen. What's going on, Eileen? Jets and Yankees fan. I believe she's a Yankees fan, right, Eileen? You're a Yankees fan. I'm almost 100% sure here. Love Eileen. She checks into every show we have. Another great out of the box sports fan. Maiko says, "I'll get us there in less than," and that's like taking a jet with you, Maiko. I seen the way you drive. 150, on in school zones and stuff like that. No way. I'll be seeing colors. Like if you ever seen the movie Spaceballs, we'll hit ludicrous speed in no time. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Ludicrous speed, go. Eileen, yes, Yankees. I thought so, Eileen. I thought so. So let's see. Yeah, that's the opening day lineup. We'll move on here. Before I move on, I'd like to let everybody know we have a new sponsor here at Out of the Box Sports. Monkey Colt Coffee Company. Use the promo code OOTB Sports at the register to get 10% off at monkeycoltcoffee.com. They have this bourbon, chocolate bourbon infused coffee. I've been hearing great things about it. Now I seen pictures of their cakes, and I'm a coffee guy, but I'm a heavy fella. I got a little bit of weight to me. I love cake. I mean, cake is is just fantastic. So I'm gonna order some cake and a bag of coffee, and get my 10% off. But make sure you check them out. Show them some love. That promo code again is OOTB Sports. And do that at the register at monkeycoltcoffee.com to get 10% off. And tell them the Bat Frie sent you. There we go. Finger guns. There they are. Can't go wrong with finger guns. All right. So we'll go on to Beatty, Vientos, and Alvarez sent down to AAA. So before we get into that, Dan says, better get a wheelchair van for me, guys. You know what? That might get us a decent spot. You ever see the movie? What the hell is that movie? The Dream Team. If you ever seen the Dream Team with Michael Keaton, that's how I picture things going in New York City. They went on a bunch of people in an insane asylum, a crazy house insane asylum, something like that. They go on a field trip with their doctor to a Yankees game. Well, the doctor gets mugged, and now you have all these crazy guys walking around New York City. It's fantastic. Who's it? Peter Boyle. He's naked for some reason in that movie. I can't remember why he was naked, but he's naked in the movie. Michael Keaton's freaking hilarious. What's his name? Doc from Back to the Future. He's in it. I can't think of his name right now. Christopher Lloyd. He's in it. What a great movie. The best bourbon coffee cake, and wow, the coffee is the best. Absolutely. I can't wait to try it. To be honest with you, I love coffee. I love different flavors of coffee. But like I said, I'm a cake guy. I'll eat cake till the cows come home. Then I'll eat the cow. Dan says, "Oh, I can get good seats to events." That's one way to look at it. Maiko, oh Lord, get these out of the box sports guys together. Anything can happen. We'd be like those lunatics. The Rome in New York, anything could happen. It'd be something. It would be something. So Brett Beatty, Mark Vientos, and Francisco Alvarez sent down to AAA. Alvarez, I'm not too surprised by. He struggled throughout the spring. They brought him up super late last season. He didn't get a whole lot of. I think he only got a few at bats, not many to really talk about. So I'm not too surprised about Alvarez, especially with the Mets bringing in Omar Narvaez through free agency. They already have two catchers. Then I thought they might keep him up as a DH because he does have a really strong bat. But I think they want him to work on his catching. They want him to work on his defense. Send him down. The Beatty one and Vientos really surprised me. I was reading reports that were saying that Vientos is more likely to make the roster than Beatty, and Beatty just like I said, he was raking throughout the whole spring. He did very, very well. I thought Beatty was a shoo-in, to be honest with you. Especially with the Mets, trying to trade for a third baseman earlier, and now they have Eduardo Escobar. He's basically it's Eduardo Escobar and Guillorme as your third baseman. Now I thought it was going to be Beatty and Escobar after the he who should be nameless, Mr. Ankle. His physical went through and stuff like that. I'm not even gonna go there. He did us dirty. He did Giants dirty. His doctor did us dirty. Is basically what it was. Anyway, I'm not gonna. I said I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. So Vientos, he also had a pretty decent spring as well. But all three of them sent down to AAA. I expect them to come up, Beatty or Vientos, to come up pretty quickly. That could be even faster, depending on injury situations. As we all know, it's sometimes stuff starts going wrong. Injuries just start piling up for teams. There's bad luck sometimes. But I'd expect one of them to be up sometime through May. It seems like there's I don't know what it's exactly called, but there's a cutoff in May that if you have a rookie on your roster from the start of the season until a certain point in May, you have to pay them like a roster bonus. But if you bring them up after this certain day in May, you don't have to pay them a certain amount or whatever, or you only have to pay them their minor league amount. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's something like that I've heard before. So I wouldn't be surprised if sometime in May, mid to late May, you might see Vientos or Beatty, one of them, or maybe even both. But I think they'll be back up relatively quickly, especially before the All-Star break. If not, then I'll be really surprised. But for the, if the Mets are still a contender at the All-Star break, maybe after the All-Star break to kind of ramp up a little bit. But I expect one of them to be up sometime in May. Dugout mug, wet my whistle. There he is. Cowboy Dave Yarnell. Yeehaw! What's up, Cowboy Dave? You can check Cowboy Dave out on the Cowboy Show. Wednesdays at Dem 215 Boys. Wednesdays at 6:30, I believe. It says, hey, Mr. Met, what's going on? Not too much, buddy. Living life, talking about opening day tomorrow. Hump day. So that's about all I have to say about Beatty, Vientos, and Alvarez. I also wanted to mention that the Mets number 3 prospect, Kevin Parada, a catcher again. They drafted him, I believe it was last year, first-round draft pick. He was a catcher down in South Carolina. He's catching for South Carolina, I believe. And he was brought up to high A ball for the Brooklyn Cyclones. He'll be starting the season off there, as well as their number 7 prospect, right-hand pitcher, Blade Tidwell. Blade. Yeah, his name is Blade. Yeah, somebody watched American Gladiators a lot when they were growing up. Well, mom and dad are watching a lot of Blade and Blaze and Blaster and, anyway, getting off subject again here. But they'll both be up for the high A Brooklyn Cyclones, which is just a step below them from double A. You got the Rumble Ponies and then so on and so on. So we'll move on now to well, I just did this actually. I didn't think I had a banner for it. There it is, other prospects. See that? We'll talk AL and NL predictions. So I'll start with the AL East. That should say AL East and NL East. I'm sorry, my bad. Dropping the freaking ball here. I got everything written down here because I forget everything. I forget my. I ain't gonna say it. Cowboy Dave says, so I probably missed it, but I will ask you, who is the Mets closer? I don't know, Dave. Right now it looks like Dave Robertson would be the likeliest choice, but it may very well end up being a closer by committee type thing. That wouldn't surprise me at all. We brought a couple guys in the offseason. There's a couple of injuries in our bullpen also, so it could come down to closer by committee. I'd like them to at least try David Robertson because he's done it. He's done it in the past. It seems like ages ago. I was looking at his stats when he's with the Tigers, and that's when he had his really big save years, 40-plus saves. But you're looking at, I think it was like 2016. So it's a little bit ago now. Does he have it in him still? I think so. He pitched well last season for the Cubs, and he pitched all right for the Phillies. During playoff time, he didn't pitch so well. Yeah, Robertson sounds about right. There it is. Everything's just kind of. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Maiko. You're the man. AL East and NL East predictions. All right, so I'll start with the AL East. So I'm gonna start from the bottom. I'm gonna work my way up. So I'm gonna go 5, and then just build suspense. That's what I'm about here. Suspense. So, of course, at the bottom, I have the Orioles, which is kind of tough because they had a really, really good, surprising season last year. They started off absolutely horrible. They battled back, got in the wild card race, and then by the end of the season, they kind of lost a little bit of gas. So, I mean, with a stacked AL East, Dave wants to know who's Maiko. Maiko is my friend. That's who Maiko is. Maiko is my friend. So just a couple guys on there. Kyle Gibson, he's a pickup from the Phillies who he pitched awful for the Phillies. Adley Rutschman, who was their big breakout star last year, catcher Adley Rutschman, was brought up. I don't know if it was about halfway through the season. That's kind of when they started turning it around. They even sold off a couple of their higher priced pieces, even though they're right in the middle of a wild card race. But Adley Rutschman had a decent season for what he was up for. 254, 13 homers, 42 ribs. Adam Frazier, he's another a young guy. I think this will be his second season. Last year hit 238. Jorge Mateo hit 221, 13 dingers last year. Their big bat Anthony Santander with 33 home runs, 89 RBIs, hitting 240 with an OPS of 773. And Gunnar Henderson, another young guy. There's so much youth with this team. They have one guy on their roster that was born in the 80s, which is insane. It's usually you see you'll have a couple veterans placed throughout the roster, but almost all their guys are born anywhere from like 1995 on. I think I don't even know if there's 95. It's like 96 on. So they're really super young. Most of their guys only have a year or two experience. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. I don't expect much out of them again, but I think they're getting better. I think the Orioles are getting better. I'd say they're probably like another 2 years away. I think before like really making some noise. If they hold on to their core guys and maybe build on it, maybe bring in I don't want to say a higher price guy, but because you could do without spending all that money. But so you got to spend the cheddar sometimes. That's what it is. Just letting it sit there in your mattress ain't going to do nobody any good. So I'm guessing between 80, 85 wins. I could see them falling lower than that. If those younger guys don't perform like they did last season, sometimes you get that sophomore slump. So if they perform what they're capable of, I'm thinking like 80, 85, finishing around 500 possibly. Maybe a hair under. Number 4 in the AL East, I have the Red Sox. Losing Xander Bogaerts really hurt that fan base. They're just looking for something to hold on to, and when they lost Xander Bogaerts, when the Red Sox just failed to re-sign him for whatever reason, there's a lot of bum Sox fans. They still have Rafael Devers, but that's pretty much it. Corey Kluber stinks. He had a terrible season. The last couple seasons were off, to be honest with you. Looking over his stats. And Chris Sale, didn't pitch last year much. I think he had like 1 or 2 starts. Then he was injured. Cutter Crawford, that's another guy they have listed as in their rotation, 3-6 with a 5.47 ERA. Yeah, it's not looking good. Kenley Jansen was a decent pickup from the Braves, I believe. 5-2, 3.38 ERA, 41 saves. So that's a pretty big addition to their bullpen. Christian Arroyo hit 286 last year. Rafael Devers, like I said, they're pretty much lone star, it seems like right now. He hit 295, 27 homers, 88 RBI, and 879 OPS. And Justin Turner was a pretty decent pickup for them. Hit 278, 13 home runs, 81 RBI. He's listed on the injured list. He got hit in the face with a fastball, but he said he'll be all right and he should start. Maiko says, I think Matasaka Yoshida will be good with the Sox in left field. Huge contract, yes. And I have him written down here, but I failed to write down some stats. But yeah, he was one of their big offseason acquisitions. I think he played in Japan last year, Maiko, if I'm correct. I don't think he played in the major leagues. I think this is their big foreign pickup from this past offseason. Eileen says some Red Sox fans won't support the team until John Henry sells it. It might be a while. There's Red Sox still, like, that name just makes money. So I mean, why would you sell something like that? He has to put money into it, though. It seems like they used to be big spenders. It doesn't seem like they spend nearly as much as what they used to. I mean, I could be way off on that, but I mean, it just doesn't seem like they attract the high price talent. It doesn't seem like they spend the way they used to when they're trying to win World Series. Now it almost seems like they're trying to do that whole Moneyball thing or the analytics type stuff. Cowboy Dave says Scherzer versus Alcantara, great matchup for Game 1. Pitching duel, let the season begin. Yeah, it should be really good. I'm a little bit worried about Alcantara. He pitched a lot of innings last year. I said this on multiple shows. He pitched a ton of innings. I mean, like there were some games where he was getting lit up, but he was still pitching in a 9th inning. Where he was giving up like 5 or 6 runs, but still pitching in a 9th inning, throwing 110 pitches. I mean, he's a young dude, but it's the way things have been in the league. The last decade or so. I mean, arms just go just like that now. With the speed and with the torque that these guys put on their arms. And him to do it for so many innings. I'm almost 100% positive he led the league in complete games by a lot, which is probably like 3 or 4. But it's still that's compared to everybody else, that's a lot. So the Red Sox I have winning between 80 and 85 games. I could see them and the Orioles battling for the basement. I just don't see a lot of hope for Boston. I mean, unless I'm missing something here. Like I said, Rafael Devers, okay, the Matasaka Yoshida, all right, let's see what he can do. And Justin Turner, but Justin Turner's 38 years old, 37, 38 years old. I mean, so we'll have to wait and see. At 3, I have the Rays, which is a very, very good team. The AL East is much like the NL East, it seems like. The difference is the AL East basement, the Red Sox and the Orioles are much better than what the NL East basement is, in my opinion. But then you have those 3 teams that are going to battle all season. It's going to be exciting for AL East fans. It's going to be a lot of fun watching these teams battle. So I have the Tampa Bay Rays, or as I grew up with them, the Devil Rays. Yeah, the Tampa Bay Rays. Shane McClanahan, 12-8 last year, 2.54 ERA, 194 Ks. A good left-handed pitcher. Maiko says Yoshida, Japan stats, 119, 21 homers, 138 hits, average 335. Yeah, that's a pretty good stat line right there for the Oryx Buffaloes. There's somebody to bet on. The Oryx Buffaloes. So yeah, Shane McClanahan, they're ace coming out of the rotation there. A really, really strong lefty could push for Cy Young now that Verlander's out of there. Even though the Astros are just actually the Astros are stacked in their rotation, so you just never. It's going to be hard to pry one of those Cy Youngs away from the Astros, but yeah, McClanahan can do it. Ohtani, there's always a chance for Ohtani. He pitches really, really good. The Rays also picked up Zach Eflin from the Phillies. He was 3-5 with a 4.04 ERA last year. Drew Rasmussen, 11-7 with a 2.84 ERA. Overall, their pitching staff looks pretty decent. When I was looking over their depth chart, some of the position players: Yandy Diaz, 296 last year, 9 home runs, 57 ribs. Wander Franco, who only basically played half the season last year. But he's one of those guys that you expect a lot out of. A very good player. 277, 6 home runs, 33 ribs. And there's their superstar here, Randy Arozarena. He's just a breakout guy. He's the top of their heap. He's the guy that you could see somebody paying a lot of money for in an off season sometime coming up soon. So yeah, Randy Arozarena, 263, 20 home runs, 89 RBIs, is just absolutely electric on the base path. 32 stolen bases. It's so much fun watching him steal home. He did it. I don't think it was last year's playoffs. I think it was the year before in the playoffs, stealing home. It was just, really, really exciting. Overall, all around great player. And then their bigger bat, Isaac Paredes, hit 205 with a 20 home run, 45 RBI in limited roles last year. So with the full season for him, they're expecting bigger numbers. Maiko says, speaking of paying some cheddar, will Ohtani come to the Mets next year? I'm hearing might be the highest player in history, pitcher DH combo. You know what? It scares the hell out of me. From everything that you hear as a Mets fan, that Uncle Steve is going to throw all kinds of money at this guy. He's just going to break the bank for him. And then that's as a baseball fan, that's what you want. But it scares the hell out of you because if he gets hurt, you're losing 2 position play. You're losing 2 players. It's you could, depending on the injury, basically, you could have a situation like a Bryce Harper where he had a torn UCL, but he was still able to hit. So, but you lose that pitcher then. But what if he breaks an arm, or what if he tears an ACL? Now you lost your pitcher, you're one of your best pitchers, and you lost either a DH or an outfielder. I mean, that's terrifying. And then the amount of money they're going to have to pay to get it is going to have to be like $500 million because you're paying for 2 guys. He's going to be a rich man. That's basically what it is. I hope he's in the blue and orange, but it's going to be one of those deals where it's going to be like watching peeking. It's going to be scary. It makes me nervous. As a Mets fan, you expect stuff to go wrong. He'll be a Dodger. That's seems like the Dodgers are opening up some cash for him. but we'll see. I like I said, I hope I hope he's wearing a blue and orange next year, or even in July. If the Angels are out of it, which they could be. My predictions, I had them battling. I had them in the middle of the heap there, but I'd like to see him in the blue and orange in July. That means that we're contending and everything like that. So at number 2, are the Rays. I have winning between 85 and 90 games, closer to the 90 game plateau. I'm thinking probably like an 88 to 90. That's what I'm thinking. Number 2 in the AL East, I have the Yankees, and this was a tough call. Tough call for me, but I have the Yankees mostly because of their injuries. Just looking at their injuries right now, you have Luis Severino. He's out until early April with a back issue. Nestor Cortez, as he's listed as probable right now with a hamstring, and the hamstrings are nagging injuries. So that's something he's probably got to play with the whole season. Harrison Bader, late April with an oblique issue. Carlos Rodon, late April, forearm. Frankie Montas, shoulder surgery. So, I mean, there's just so many key injuries to the Yankees right now. That's kind of why I put them at second. It's like looking at their lineup and Toronto's lineup, and Toronto doesn't have any major injuries right now. I just feel like right now Toronto is on paper is the better team right now, but we'll see. Eileen says, "I'm ready for you to break my heart." I'm sorry, Eileen. This means war. I could change it. Maybe it's a tie. It could be a tie. I mean, we seen it last year in the NL East, 101-101. They gave it to the Braves because the Braves are more handsome, I guess. I don't know. Tiebreaker, whatever. But anyway, so the Yankees, Garrett Cole, 13-8 last year, 3.5 ERA, 257 Ks. Like I said, Carlos Rodon expected. How long is he going to be out for again? I said late April, the forearm issue. He has some tightness in his forearm, I was reading. But he was 14-8 last year. He's going to be key to this rotation. 288 ERA, 237 strikeouts for the Giants. Nestor Cortez, another great mustache on this team. Nestor Cortez, 12-4 last year, 244 ERA, 163 strikeouts, and probably the greatest windups in all of baseball. Like the way he would always switch it up and throw like weird shit in there. Awesome. Just I love watching Nestor Cortez pitch because it kills me, makes me laugh. But now with the pitch clock, probably going to take some of that away, which is unfortunate. Then you have Luis Severino, 7-3, 3.18 ERA, 112 Ks. You still have Rizzo coming back at first base, a fantastic defensive first baseman. I was watching him play a bunch of times last year. He just, he's very, very good first baseman. You just can't say enough about his defense. Obviously a great bat. Hit 224, 32 home runs, 75 RBI. Gleyber Torres, one of the best names in baseball. I love saying Gleyber. Gleyber Torres hit 257, 24 dingers, 76 ribs. Then you have the Judge, Aaron Judge, 311, 62 home runs, 131 RBI. He had an OPS of 1.111, which is insane. That's really, really high. Your OPS is your on-base percentage and your slugging percentage combined. That's insane, that number. And the thing with Aaron Judge, he had the triple crown. He had the triple crown lead last year, going into basically the last month of the season. But he's battling for that home run record, or whatever you want to call it. If you don't want to call it a home run record, it doesn't really matter to me. But the Yankee home run record, the American League home run record, and it just seemed like he's swinging more for the fences. He was taking more strikeouts. He was popping out more, just getting out more overall. That really hurt his average. Still hit 311, but my thought is if he doesn't hit 62 home runs, he has a triple crown. If he hits, if he just does what he was doing the whole season, if he hits 58 home runs, he's hitting 330. Like his average was super high, and it just took a nosedive. When he was chasing that home run record. So it's really amazing. A slugger like that, you know, the way he hits the ball, just puts it in play, you know, and being 8 feet tall and stuff like that. And, you know, it's absolutely amazing. You know, a fantastic player. And I didn't think he was going to be a Yankee. I thought for sure he was going to go somewhere else. The Giants were gung ho. They're going to get him. They're going to get him. They thought they had him. Just like Carlos Correa, they thought they had him. Nope, not today. So yeah, and then also have Giancarlo Stanton. He dealt with some injury issues last year, so hopefully he comes back for a full season healthy. His average, very low, struggled last year, 211, but that stick was there. 31 home runs, 78 ribs. Let's get to some comments here. Eileen says, I like to say John Sterling's home run call of Gleyber Torres. I like a good Gleyber Torres is there. I like a good Gleyber Torres is there. I tell you, I like that. There's that. I don't know who it is, but for the Yankees, when he does the Yankees way, he's like, the Yankees win. I love that. I think that's fantastic. I don't know which radio guy that is. I think it's a radio guy. I don't think it's a TV guy. Eileen also says, oh, for sure, the 62 home runs cost him Triple Crown. Absolutely. He was trying too hard to hit home runs. Yeah, so you have to figure that home run record probably meant more to him than what a Triple Crown would. He'll probably get a Triple Crown this year. I mean, he's going to be in the running for it because he's just a fantastic hitter overall. So you'd have to figure he'll be in the running for it. Maiko says Judge was chasing the long ball the last month. Even his walk rate went down. Yeah, he was. You wonder if he was just doing it to get the home run or if it was just the pressure also added to it. There are a lot of different factors into that one. Delicious. So a couple key injuries throughout the AL East I'm going to hit on before I move on to the NL East. Like I said, Justin Turner, he's probable. He got hit in the face with a ball. That's never good. Wander Franco for the Rays, he's probable with a quad injury. Tyler Glasnow, 6 to 8 weeks with an oblique. Everybody's out with a goddamn oblique. I don't even know what an oblique is. It's somewhere up here in your body, upper body somewhere. Orioles, James McCann. He's doubtful with an oblique. Former Met James McCann. Frustrated. I don't even like saying the name. Then there's a former Met again, Michael Givens, who I thought we were going to re-sign, but we didn't. It would have been nice to have him in the bullpen. He's questionable with a knee. And that's pretty much all the major injuries in the AL East. So I'll transition over to the NL East. And again, I'll start at the bottom. And not a whole lot to say. As you saw, if you watched Extra Innings last night at 8 p.m., pretty much the same thing. Not a whole lot to say about the Nationals. There's nothing really positive going on there in Washington. I don't know what the hell's going on there. Patrick Corbin, awful. 6-19, 6.31 ERA. And if you look at his last 3 or 4 seasons, the ERA has steadily gone up, at least a run and a half per season. So his better days are way behind him, which is unfortunate. Strasburg hurt. He's dealing with some, I believe it's a rib issue. And if he comes back, is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be in the bullpen? His days are behind him. Dom Smith, another Met, he signed with the Nationals in the offseason because he wants to be a starter, which you can't blame him. He was just a bench guy. He was just a bench guy with the Mets anyway, so he wasn't getting the at-bats that he would need to showcase his talents. Because in the minor leagues, he's a hell of a hitter. Hits for power, hits for average, but there's just nowhere on the big league roster for him to play. So unless there was an injury. So he moved on to Washington. So hopefully he has a really good bounce back season because last year was awful for him. I don't think he had a big league home run last year. The year before, I think he had like a 15, 16 in limited roles. Adam Glenn says, Trey Turner says, hello, Trey Turner. I'm sure he's watching. I know Trey Turner's freaking watching the show. He got to know where his beloved Phillies are going to fall on the Bat Frie's predictions. He's like, where the hell is it? Let me know. I'll let you know, Trey Turner. Give me 1 minute. I'm getting there. Maiko says, is Strasburg still alive? He is still alive. Uh, something sport, game day live stream. I don't know what that is. Hockey. I like hockey. Anyway, I don't know what that was. That might be an ad. I thought it was. I should have read it before I put it up there. Is what it was. Sorry. So yeah, so I have the Nationals. Just Victor Robles, 224, 6 home runs. Joey Meneses, who's a decent player. It's a rough season last year. I believe it was. I think he was. I don't know. I don't know if he was hurt last season, but it's very limited games. Hit 324, 13 home runs, 34 RBI. Right now, he's probably their best player. And me being a Pottsville guy from Pottsville, Pennsylvania, Travis Blankenhorn, who was Met, he was drafted by the Minnesota Twins. I'm not sure what year it was, a few years ago. He was drafted, I want to say like fourth, fifth, sixth round, somewhere around there. It's like sixth round maybe. Then he was traded to the Dodgers, traded to the Mariners, and then he ended up with the Mets. And now he's with the Nationals. The Mets had him for, I think, 2 or 3 seasons. Got his first major league homer with the Mets. But anyway, signed with the Nationals in the offseason. Was invited to spring training. Unfortunately, I did not make the roster. He's playing with the Rochester Red Hawks or Red Chickens, or it says something. It's Rochester. All right, it's Rochester. It's minor league baseball. Rochester Red something. Red Hawks, Red Chickens, Red Birds. I don't know what it is. But yeah, good luck to Travis Blankenhorn. Rooting for you. I was hoping he'd get a chance to start on a big league roster, but he struggled. I was watching him a couple times against the Mets. He really struggled. Struck out a lot. So yeah. So hopefully he works his way back up. So for the Nationals, I have between 70 75 wins. They'll be lucky to hit that. We could be triple digit losses for the Nationals here. So moving on to the Marlins. Of course, you have Sandy Alcantara, reigning NL Cy Young. I expressed my concern about him earlier with Cowboy Dave's comment about Scherzer versus Alcantara for opening day, which is really exciting. But last year, 14-9, like I said, pitched a ton of innings, 2.28 ERA. Yeah, just like I said, a couple complete games. I almost positively led the league in complete games. A lot of innings. It was a workload. He was their best pitching option, and then it showed. Jesus Luzardo was 4-7 last year, a 3.32 ERA. You have Jazz Chisholm, which for some reason is on MLB The Show cover. I don't know what the reason behind it is. I don't know. Is there something they know that I don't know? I know when I was ranking the outfields, I mentioned Jazz Chisholm, and I think I had him ranked 3rd or 4th in the outfield, his position, and I never heard of him. To be honest with you, I mean, I watch a decent amount of baseball. I don't watch every game. It's impossible to watch every game. It's really, really tough. And yeah, so he hit 254 last year, 14 home runs, 45 RBI, and he got the cover of MLB Show 23. Who knew? A big pickup for them this year was Luis Arias. Maiko says the Rochester Red Wings. There it is, the Red Wings. That's a bird, Red Hawk, Red Chicken, Red Wing. It's all the same. They have wings. Birds have wings, usually. Yeah, I think all birds have wings. I don't know. I can't think of a bird that doesn't have a wing. Anyway, Luis Arias hit 316, 8 home runs, 49 RBIs in Minnesota last year. That was their big pickup. Gene Segura, another decent signing for them. He wants to be an everyday starter. He probably wasn't going to get that in Philly. Bryson Stott taken over at second base there. He had a pretty good season last year. But Segura was in and out of lineup last season with injury and was also coming off the bench a lot. He'll be playing 3rd for the Marlins. He hit 277, 10 home runs, 33 RBI last year. Jorge Soler, 207 last year, 13 dingers. Jesus Sanchez, 214. Another guy, 13 home runs. Not a whole lot of pop in the lineup. But again, another really young lineup. I think that Gene Segura signing was pretty nice. He had a guy that's been around for a few years, kind of lead them a little bit. Like I said, the Marlins, there's a chance I think they're going to be better than what they have been the last couple seasons. They're not ready to make a run at anything, I don't think. So I have them like 75, 80. I could see them breaking 500, being close to 500 this year. So 75 to 80, maybe a little bit, a touch over 80. So we get to number 3, and this is going to blow some tops here. Get ready, Trey Turner. Here it is, the Phillies in third place. I tell you, it's hard because all three teams are so close. I'm not going to say who I have at 1, and I put the Phillies at 3 for a few different reasons. I hate the Phillies, so there's one reason. You have Nola as a top starter. 11-13 last year, 329. I felt like Nola was a little inconsistent last year. I think at the end of the season, it really turned it on. But throughout, I'd say 2/3 of the season, I just felt like he was inconsistent. Like one game, you'll get the Nola that shuts people down, and another game, you get the Nola that's just getting rocked. So, I mean, I don't know. That's one reason I was kind of, if you get the Nola that's not pitching great, to start the season, the Phillies could fall behind again. Zach Wheeler, 12-7, 2.82 ERA. He had a great season last year. I could see him. I could see him pushing for a Cy Young. He finished really, really hot. Pitched well in the postseason, I thought. Adam Glenn called me a homer. Not so fast, my friend. I didn't get to 2 or 1 yet. You don't know where the Metropolitans fall yet. But yeah, Zach Wheeler. I really like Zach Wheeler, and it pisses me off that he's with the Phillies and not with the Mets. It makes me really, really angry. Taijuan Walker with the Mets last year, 12-5 at 3.49 ERA. A terrific first half of the season. Really, he and Carlos Carrasco really carried the Mets rotation last year. Like the first half with DeGrom out, with the Scherzer. With some injuries, he'd miss a start here or there, but between Walker, Carrasco, Tyler McGill, and Dave Peterson, those guys really really took that rotation. When the Mets they could easily fell apart earlier than they did, and they kept it together, and so. Oh, you know what? I didn't do the AL East first place. I'll get to that in a second. I totally skipped over talking to Yankees and all that stuff. I missed. Oh my god, I'm gonna kick myself. Whatever. Anyway, Taijuan Walker. Then you have Schwarber. He had 218 last year, 46 home run, 94 RBI. My one thing with Schwarber is, he crushes the shit out of the ball. I mean, the dude just can hit a ton. But it seems like a lot of that also comes with nobody on. I mean, I'm not gonna get too. I don't want to get killed here. But you look at Schwarber and the World Baseball Classic and then the championship game against Japan. He had that awesome, huge home run. All right, but if you look, I think it was like 2 innings before when it really mattered. There's, I think 2 runners on, he popped it up. I mean, so it's it's one of those things, it's, to have 46 home runs, I think I said. 46 home runs and 94 RBI. I mean, that's a lot of solo home runs, if you ask me. But again, it's the Schwarbomb. We'll get into that, yeah. Alec Boehm, who I really like Alec Boehm. Great third baseman. I struggled last year in his defense early in the season, but I felt like he recovered really, really nicely. I think he's going to have a really big season this year. He had 280, 13 home runs, 72 RBI. JT, my daughter's favorite player. The best, I said it a bunch of times, I'll say it again, best catcher in the league. Hit 276, 22 home runs, 84 RBI. Who's that? Turner. Justin Turner. Who's Turner? Who's Turner? Oh, Trey Turner. Yeah, Trey Turner. That's who that is. Trey Turner last year with the Dodgers, 298, 21 home runs, 100 RBI. That's production right there with runners in scoring position. 27 stolen bases. He's going to be a beast on the paths this year again. Here's another guy I expect to have a big season, Nick Castellanos. Hit 263 last year, 13 home runs, 62 RBI. Now, when he's with the Reds, he was a doubles machine, they said. Lots of line drives, lots of doubles, a great power hitter. Struggled last year in his first season in Philly. You expect that bounce back season the second season. So I expect Castellanos to have a pretty good season. And Bryson Stott, like I said, taking over second base now with Segura officially gone. He had a good season last year, offensively and defensively. So I expect better things out of him. So I have the Phillies winning between 90 and 95 games. And number 2, out of the box sports, grab some Monkey Colt coffee. That will never happen. There you go. Grab some Monkey Colt coffee, and that will never happen. Use promo code OOTB Sports at monkeycoltcoffee.com for 10% off. A new sponsor here on Out of the Box Sports, and I can't wait to try it. Big coffee fans. I work night shift, so I love coffee. I live on coffee, and like I said, I live on cake. So cake does me good. So make sure you get on there. monkeycoltcoffee.com, and when you're checking out, put in OOTB Sports for the discount code, and get 10% off your order. So hit them up, order some stuff, and show them some love. Great sponsor, and like I said, I can't wait to try their product. The chocolate, bourbon chocolate infused coffee. That sounds right up my alley. I like the fancy coffee. I'd say, all right, I'm not a Starbucks guy, so I don't go like that fancy. But I like a little French vanilla. I like a little bit of flavor in my life. I'm a flavor guy. So that bourbon coffee sounds fantastic. And the coffee cakes, oh man, can't go wrong there. So number 2, I have the Metropolitans. I have my beloved Mets ahead of the Phillies because I do. It's a Mets show. I'll homer that. But I still think the Braves are the class of the East. Until you knock them off their throne, that's who they are. So yeah, Verlander coming in, the reigning AL Cy Young Award winner, 18-4, 175 ERA, 185 Ks, and this is coming off of Tommy John surgery. That's the part that blows my mind. Usually, a pitcher struggles through his first season, getting his command back, getting velocity back, and all that stuff. This freaking guy comes back from Tommy John surgery with the Astros and wins the AL Cy Young with a sub-2 ERA. That's insane. That's crazy. I hope he has that this season also, but as a Mets fan, I'm not holding my breath. He's an older guy. He's been around for a long time. Eileen wants to know for the Monkey Colt coffee, any particular kind of cake or all kinds of cake. You can never go wrong with cake. I love all kinds of cake. I mean, even coconut cake, the German chocolate cake, all sorts of coffee cakes. You got Drake's coffee cakes. You got the Tasty Cake coffee cake with the cream in the middle. It's like a surprise. Cream in the middle. It's awesome. I love all kinds of cake. Peanut butter chocolate cake. But I'm going to go on Monkey Colt Coffee and check out all their cakes and see what they got going on there for coffee cakes. It's good stuff. I'm a dunker also. I don't know who else out there is a dunker. I'm a dunker. It doesn't matter what it is. I'll dunk anything. I mean, not to get too weird on here, but peanut butter crackers, I'll dunk in water. I'll dunk pizza crust in milk and iced tea. That's me. That's what I do. But all cake, I'll get, if I'm eating a regular, normal sized piece of cake, I'll get it on the fork and I'll stick the whole fork in the milk and I'll pull it out, and that's, we need lots of paper towels around me when I'm dunking. Things get messy. So back to the Mets. Verlander, like I said, outstanding, coming off of Tommy John surgery. Hopefully, he has the same type of season this year. Number 2 starter, Scherzer. I don't think he should have won the Cy Young last year. I don't think he should have. He was injured for parts of the season last year, but I felt like he should have at least gotten a vote. 11-5 with a 2.29 ERA. I mean, yeah, he had plenty of starts. I don't understand like why he didn't get one vote. Because I felt like he was for when he did pitch, he was fairly dominant. He didn't have too many clunkers out there. I mean, every pitcher is going to go through a game or so where they have a clunker. It just happens. They're not, their stuff isn't great. They're just not on. But I thought Scherzer pitched outstanding. But again, an old guy. He's up there in age. You hope he still has it. He's a bulldog. It seems like to be a bit of a dickhead. Not to get too vulgar here, but it's he's angry a lot. It seems like he's angry a lot, which I like. I like that in my pitcher. I want my pitcher angry. I don't want my pitcher out there dancing and stuff like that, or doing whatever pitchers do besides being angry. Out of the Box Sports has a wide selection of cakes and coffee as well, but the bourbon cake, wow. So check that out. I'm going to check it out after I wake up today, after I take my my snooze. So we also picked up Kodai Senga. I'm really excited to see what he can do. Had some crazy stats in Japan. Just a little over 2 ERA. Pitched a ton of innings in the Nippon League. Strikeouts aren't super high. He has the ghost fork, the ghost pitch, and it looked good. He didn't pitch a whole lot in the spring. He was dealing with he has tendonitis in his right index finger. It's something Buck said that he'd be able to pitch through during the regular season, but through the spring training, so there's no reason to push it, which I agree with Buck. Keep people healthy. Another key acquisition now for the Mets has been David Robertson, to see what the hell we're going to do for closer. Last year, between the Cubs and the Phils, he was 4-3 with a 2.4 ERA. With the Cubs last year, where he spent most of the season, his ERA was a shade over 2. And with the Phillies, I think he had pitched in maybe 18 games or 13. I think it was 18 games. His ERA was mid-2. So he pitched well for both teams last year. So it gives me a glimmer of hope. But he's not Edwin Diaz. I mean, it would be pretty funny to see David Robertson come out to the trumpets and stuff like that. I'd get a kick out of that. But yeah, so then you have Big Pete there at first base, 271, 40 home run, 131 RBI. I'd like to see him push for MVP this year, see if he can take that next step. I mean, the power numbers are there. His knock has been his defense. I thought he played defense decent last year, fairly well. So we'll see if he can take that next step. I mentioned Francisco Lindor earlier also. 270, 26 home run, 107 RBI. He's ready to take that next step, hopefully, into MVP consideration. Starling Marte, if he can stay healthy, he's the one that's going to keep our lineup rolling. I talked about this earlier. Hey, there he is. Vegas Rob checking in. Good morning from Las Vegas. Excited for baseball opening day, play ball. Pretty soon the Las Vegas Athletics will be there. I say in the next 3 years. That's my prediction. By the time they build a stadium and stuff like that, it's going to take a little bit. So Starling Marte, 292, 16 home runs, 63 RBI. He got injured a couple times last year, especially at the end of the season. Really, really hurt us when he went down. He came back in the playoffs, but he just wasn't the same. You can tell he was still bothering him. And but him back healthy, he hit I think 340 in the spring so far. So Starling Marte back for us is huge, absolutely monstrous. If he could stay healthy, we're in a good way. Brandon Nimmo, who had a breakout season last year, he's another guy that's been plagued throughout his career with injuries. Last year he was healthy. I think he played 150 some games last year. He hit 274, 16 home runs, 64 RBI. And then I played a fantastic center field last year. Our outfield is really solid. I said it earlier, but I really like our outfield. Then you have Jeff McNeil, the batting champ, hit 326, 9 home runs, and 62 RBI. Really, really turned it on. I guess it seemed like it's from June on. He was just rolling through. with that crazy ass bat that he has and the choke up. Great hitter. Just in the past, Jeff McNeil tried hitting home runs and it hurt his average, and basically it hurt the Mets. Just out there, swinging, looking for doubles, looking for home runs, looking for power numbers. That's not the kind of player that he is. He does have power, but watching last season, he could put the ball wherever he wants. I mean, they've tried shifts on him. He goes opposite way, or he'll just bloop it over your head. It's they're not strong hits, but they're hits. They're getting him on base. They're moving guys around and putting pressure on the defense. And that's kind of where the Mets got the Phillies last year. The Phillies struggled with their defense, and whenever the Mets played the Phillies, they put pressure on that defense with those little infield dinks, those little bloopers and stuff like that. Just putting the pressure on them. And teams like the Phillies, who's last year. I don't expect it this year. It doesn't. They're Major League Baseball players. They're professionals, for crying out loud. I don't expect them to have back-to-back seasons of terrible defense. So I expect the Phillies defense to be much better than it was last year. But with that being said, last season, that's one of the things that really hurt the Phillies early on in the season. Or they probably could have made a run at the division. To be honest with you, because they had the offense, they had the power numbers early in the season. They just had no defense. They give it up, unearned run after unearned run, extending innings. It really, really hurt them last year. So number one, drum roll, the number one spot, the Braves. Chop, the Braves. Like I said, until you unseat them, that's the king of the castle. That's the king of the hill. That's the icing on the cake. There it is, cake again. That's the sugar in the coffee, the cream in the coffee. That's where it's at. The Braves. So back to the Mets. I have the Mets win between 90 and 95 games, just like the Phillies. I expect all three of these teams to be fairly close within 5 games of each other. From the Phillies to the Braves, I expect it to be very, very close, coming down to the last week or so of the season. Now, this is all barring some sort of crazy ass, rash of injuries, or for some reason the Marlins go on a huge run or whatever, which I wouldn't expect. But I expect I'll do my awards next show, but I expect the Cy Young to come out of the Braves. Max Fried, 14-7 last year, 2.48 ERA. Spencer Strider, 11-5, 2.67 ERA. 202 strikeouts. Michael Harris was the turnaround, the catalyst for the Braves turnaround last year. The Mets had that big lead, 10 games. I think they called Michael Harris. They called Michael Harris, and there was somebody else they called up to, but Michael Harris was the big name out of it. And I think it was like May 28th. It was right around the end of May somewhere. And right after that, that's when the Braves absolutely turned it on. Steamrolled everybody, caught the Mets, which not to harp on the past, but if you go back to my shows during that time, I said, I feel like the Braves are going to catch the Mets. It's just too much baseball. This is May. We're talking about June. 10 games is not a lot in June. 10 games is a lot in October. Yeah, 10 games, that's hard to overcome. But in June, that's not a lot. So I me being a realist, me being a Mets fan, I was like, I feel like the Braves are going to catch him, and they did. It took a while, but and then the Mets pulled away, and then the Braves caught him again. Anyway, Michael Harris last year, 297, 19 home runs, 64 RBI. This, outstanding. Sean Murphy with a pickup at catcher. They already had a good catcher in Travis d'Arnaud. But Sean Murphy, 250, 18 home runs, 66 RBI with the Athletics. When I did the position-by-position rankings, I gave the Braves number one also because of their duo with Sean Murphy and Travis d'Arnaud. But I said Sean Murphy played for the Athletics last year. He put these numbers up with the Athletics, and I likened it to what Nnamdi Asamoah was to the Raiders. It's a little bit of football, Raider talk here. But Nnamdi Asamoah was a shutdown cornerback for the Raiders. Now, why was Nnamdi Asamoah a shutdown cornerback for the Raiders? Was he that good? Or was it the other guy that bad? And they decided to throw that guy. Why test the guy that's okay when the other guy's so bad that, so that makes you look like, gold, and that makes the other guy look like a turd. So here we are now. Sean Murphy in Oakland with the Athletics. He looks like the shiny piece of gold. Now he goes to Atlanta. Is he going to be the turd? Is he going to be, because now the pressure's on. Now you're playing for a really good team in a heated race. There's no pressure in Oakland. There's going to be a ton of pressure in Atlanta. So it's going to be interesting to see what Sean Murphy can do. I don't know. I don't know either way. I want to say he's going to be fine, but like I said, that pressure can do some weird stuff to people, man. That can make you look like crap in a heartbeat. That'll expose you. Rob says went to the Eagles and sucked. Yeah, Nnamdi. So the point of the story was that Nnamdi went to the Philadelphia Eagles, who had the super team, and he was awful. Absolutely, everybody walking around with their 21 jerseys or whatever number he was in Philly. Oh, we got Nnamdi Asamoah. Yeah, that's what Nnamdi was. Nnamdi was the turd. He wasn't the gold nugget anymore, and the Raiders were bad. So that's why he looked like the gold nugget. Maiko says a healthy Albies starting the season, but Swanson gone might hurt. Swanson gone might hurt, but that their lineup is so stacked that I don't think you're going to notice. To be honest with you, I think he means more to the Cubs. Yeah, that's where he went to the Cubs. He's going to mean more to the Cubs than what he would have meant to the Braves, I think, because the lineup is so stacked. In my opinion, that he's just another batter, But when he goes to Chicago, their lineup is nowhere near as stacked, so he's a bigger piece. If that makes sense, it makes sense to me. So, but if that makes sense, there's going to be obviously with the production that he had last year, that Dansby had last year, it's going to be felt a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be felt that much for the Braves. Like I said, I think it's more important for the Cubs to have Dansby Swanson than it is the Braves to have Dansby. And with a name like Dansby, it's sounds like an aristocrat. And Acuna, Acuna's the big one. Struggled last year. Really tough. I don't remember what was his injury last year, Paul. I know he was in and out. Like, wasn't there like a legal issue also? I mean, Maiko, wasn't there also a legal issue? Matt Olson played great from coming from the Trash A's organization. Hopefully Murphy follows. Yeah, that's some of those guys do. Like Chris Bassett for the Mets last year, I thought he was outstanding. That's why I said I hope the Mets re-signed him. They didn't, but he pitched fantastic. Mark Canha played well for the Mets, not Matt Olson well, but Mark Canha played well for the Mets coming from Oakland. But you just never know. There's always that clunker there. So then you have Travis d'Arnaud, who's your other catcher, who played for the Mets a couple years ago when they went to the World Series and lost to the Royals. But last year he had 268, 18 home runs and 60 RBI. Then you have Matt Olson, who's their big bat. 240, 34 home runs, 103 RBI. He's another guy that can push MVP. But here's the big one, Austin Riley. If he can keep producing the way he is, he very well could be your MVP. 273, 38 home runs, 93 RBI last year. Ronald Acuna, like Maiko was saying, him back healthy this year is going to be big. Last year with like I said, I think there's some legal issues, but also injury last year. 266, 15 home runs, 50 RBI. So if he comes back to producing what he was the seasons before, that lineup is going to be just fine without Dansby. Swanson, what a weird name, Dansby. So a bunch of injuries to go over real quick here before I go back to the number one team in the AL East. Aggravated assault. Yeah. So there was a whole thing. I don't remember the exact story, but I know there was a lot of like controversy with him coming back to the Braves either so soon, like, or he wasn't suspended. There was something with that also. There was a whole controversy. Like there was a chance the Braves were going to release him, and there's all this other stuff. I don't remember exactly all the detail to it, but yeah, I remember there was a legal issue. So a couple of the injuries. Okay, there it is. 20-game suspension. And yeah, if you remember, Maiko, I think there was talk of the Braves suspending him or releasing him or trading him or something like that, but it never happened. So for the Braves, the injuries, you have KJ Wright with a right shoulder. No timetable for return yet. Mets, Diaz is out with the torn patella tendon. Jose Quintana, which we talked about earlier, with the lesion on his ribs or his lung, he's out till mid-July. Which, again, I wasn't a huge fan of the Jose Quintana signing. He's a pitcher that's already up there in age. We already have two of those guys that are dinosaurs. So now you add a third one at the bottom of your rotation. And last season, I think it might have been his best season of his career. So it's like there's a good chance that he's not going to replicate that. You know, his best season, it was like a mid-3, high 3 ERA. So, Maiko says they sent him to anger management as part of his comeback or release. Yeah, what would you do? I'd go to anger management. One of the Mets offseason acquisitions, Coonrod, he's out indefinitely with a back issue. Peterson, who I was talking about earlier, David Peterson being like a sixth. That's hard to say right now. Sixth starter. For the Mets in the rotation when they do go 6-man rotation. But yeah, a lot of innings out of those games where you need your bullpen to do multiple innings. He's your guy. He's probable with a foot issue. Brooks Raleigh, who's one of the Mets offseason acquisitions in the bullpen, he's probable with a hamstring issue. Now, that happened earlier in spring training. And it's kind of, he said he's fine. So I said earlier, hamstrings are lingering. So it's probably going to be an issue all season. But if he can pitch through it, then, no big deal. Nimmo, he's probable with an ankle issue. He left the one game, spring training game early with an ouchie on his ankle. The Phillies, Ranger Suarez is out for Thursday with forearm tightness. Rhys Hoskins, we know the torn ACL, which is a bummer for him. Because I know he was like the hero and the GOAT so many times last year. Big bat for the Phillies, but terrible defense. So the fans love to cheer him. They love to boo him. You kind of felt for Reese sometimes. Then Bryce Harper, they expect him back early July with his UCL surgery. I thought I could have swore I saw something about May, but MLB.com is reporting. MLB.com is reporting a mid-July return. And for the Nationals, Strasburg. We all know what's going on with that. So I'll go back to the Monkey Colt Coffee here real quick. Just to remind everybody, a new sponsor, Monkey Colt Coffee. Use the promo code OOTB Sports at the register at monkeycoltcoffee.com for your 10% off. Just a reminder, I'm going to do it again one more time before we get out of here. Show our sponsor some love. So back to the AL East, NL East predictions. The AL East, I'm going to get back to them. The Braves, I have winning between 95 and 100 games. And like I said before, the Phillies, Mets, Braves, they're all going to be within 5 games, I think. That top 3, they could be all mixed up. The Mets could be the third. Phillies could be second. The Braves could be first still. I think the Braves are first. To be honest with you, I just can't see the Mets or the Phillies beating the Braves in the regular season. The postseason, the Braves they'll crap the bed. So that's what's up with the Braves. The AL East, the one that I forgot, the Toronto Blue Jays, I have them winning between 90 and 95 games. Their lineup is stacked also. And if the Yankees are healthy, it's going to be a super tight race. If the Yankees are going to struggle with injuries this season, I can see the Blue Jays pulling away. Last year, I picked the Blue Jays to go to the World Series. I was wrong. They did have a lead in the series against the Guardians, and they just blew it. I think they were up 3-1 maybe, or something like that, or 3-2, or 2-to. I'm not sure what the series was, but they had a multiple game lead on the Guardians, the Indians, and they blew it. And it is what it is. Young team. Their top starter, Alek Manoah, 16-7, 2.24 ERA. Here's the Chris Bassett that I was talking about. That's what made me remember. It's like, oh man, I forgot to talk about the Blue Jays. But yeah, Chris Bassett, who, if the Mets had him, I wouldn't even be worrying about the rotation right now with the injuries. But last year with the Mets, he was 15-9, 3.42 ERA. Vlad Guerrero Jr., absolute superstar. 274, 32 home runs, 97 RBI. Matt Chapman, he had 229, 27 home runs, 76 ribs. Bo Bichette, I think he's on the fringe of being a super stud like Vlad Guerrero. Again, another offspring from a former major league player. One of the best nicknames Chris Berman ever came up with. Dante Bichette happens. Fantastic. Maiko says they sent him to I already got that one. I'm sorry. Eileen says Blue Jays aren't going to be as good as people think. I don't think they have the rotation and pen to compete yet. They got the bats. Bullpens are always so fickle. Like if you look at I always go back to the Phillies because it's such a Jekyll and Hyde season for them. You look at their first half of the season, their bullpen wasn't very good at all. It was borderline bad. But then that was one of their saving graces. The second half of the season was their bullpen. So the first half of the season, you might have the Blue Jay team with a terrible bullpen. It's either a pickup of a guy in the bullpen or something. You bring somebody up in the bullpen and just say things just turn around quick. Guys get hot. Sometimes you jumble them around in the bullpen a little bit. Usually this is your 8th inning guy. You know what? Let's have him close. Let's have our closer be the 8th inning guy. See how that works. So we'll have to wait and see. But their rotation did get better with Bassett. Matt Chapman, I mentioned Bo Bichette, 290 last year, 24 home run, 93 RBI, and the dude can scoot. He can run, man. Kevin Kiermaier, he had 228, 7 home runs, 22 RBI. George Springer, he's another big bat, 267, 25 home runs, 76 RBI. So their lineup is pretty stacked. I like the Blue Jays. I liked the Blue Jays last year, but I was wrong. Maiko says, boy, the joy of being a Cowboys and Braves fan. Great seasons and shit the bed in playoff time. That's well said, Maiko. Well said. That's exactly right. The Braves historically, terrific regular season, winning all those division titles and all those years. And I think they get one World Series out of it. Maybe I think it was 2 appearances. I think I could be wrong. MLB says Astros, Padres, Braves, Guardians, and Mariners are the top 5 bullpens. Agree. Astros, Padres, Braves, yeah. Guardians, the Guardians also. Last year, I felt like the Guardians, their hitting wasn't all that great. But their pitching, their overall rotation, and their bullpen is really what took them as far as it did. The Mariners, I have no idea. To be 100% honest with you, when I did the AL West, just going over the Mariners depth chart. Like it's just, I'm looking at like it was a wonder how they won as many games as they did. But I mean, I just think they got it at the right time. They got hot at the right time at the end of the season, and because I know they're battling with Toronto, Tampa Bay, and I think Baltimore for that wild card spot. I think it's for. Yeah, it's for the wild card, and I think they pretty much, I don't want to say got lucky. I think they benefited from the Orioles really dropping back because the Orioles were in the wild card, the last wild card spot for the longest time. But I do think the Mariners are decent. I don't think they're as good as some people think. I don't remember where I had them finishing. I do want to go back to my past shows, write down all my predictions, and post them and see how they pan out. I might get fired after all that. Who knows? They'll be like, "Oh, look at this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about." He predicted the Mets to have 90 95 wins. Here they had 60. This guy's an idiot. So, Vegas Rob, the mayor, says, Maiko Spencer's right on the money with the Cowboys and Braves shit in the bed come playoff time. Eileen says, just random note, MLB trade rumor says Daniel Murphy signed with the Logan Island Ducks. Is that an independent team or is that Long Island Ducks? Or is it actually Logan? I'm curious now. But I wonder, because I did hear rumors about Daniel Murphy looking to make a comeback, because he did. I thought he did retire like a year or two ago. Yeah, Long Island. Okay. Eileen says her typing's off. And yeah. Is that are they? Do you know if they're independent or are they affiliated with a team? Because he had Daniel Murphy had a hell of a bat. That when the Mets had their World Series run and lost to the Royals, he was absolutely the stud in the lineup. I mean, the dude was so clutch in the playoffs. It's the Atlantic Independent League Long Island Ducks. So he's free to be picked up by anybody. So if he has a decent start, who knows? He'll get picked up. Maiko also says Independent Atlantic League of Professional Baseball. That reminds me of so I'm from Pennsylvania, so like the Williamsport Crosscutters, I think they're an independent team. I believe so. I could be wrong, but I think the Williamsport Crosscutters are also a team in an independent league somewhere, and I think there's one in Jersey, a team I can't think of what their name is. Something Patriots. I think they're no. Is it Jersey? I don't know. It doesn't. I'm getting off subject here. I'm getting all flustered. So those are my predictions for the AL East and the NL East. Like I said, I'll read them off real quick again. I have the Orioles, the Red Sox, the Rays, the Yankees, and Toronto finishing one in the AL East. Then the NL, I have the Nationals, Marlins, the Phillies, the Metropolitans, and the Braves. They should make the Braves change their name. I feel like I'm not going to get into that. I'll end up getting banned here. I'm not going to say it. So we'll move on from baseball talk. I guess that's pretty much all I have for baseball. I'm super excited for opening day tomorrow. I can't wait to watch some baseball and to see how our season kicks off. It's one game out of 162, but it's still exciting. I love opening day. Opening day is a lot of fun. So to the LA Kings now, finishing up a really, really, really hot March. So when they made the Korpisalo and Gavrikov trade back in I think it was February 28th, the last day of February, where they traded Jonathan Quick to the Columbus Blue Jackets. They brought in Korpisalo, the goalie, and brought Gavrikov in on defense. Since then, Maiko says Drew Doughty is the man. Just saying. Drew Doughty scored a goal that won Maiko a little bit of cheddar on probably DraftKings. But yeah, so since bringing those guys in, specifically those two guys, the Kings are 9-1-2 through March, and they still have one more game in March against the Oilers, which is a huge game. And if you've watched the show at all, whenever I talk about the Kings, I always say the Oilers are the team to watch. The Oilers are my pick to go to the Stanley Cup out of the West. I've said it on the Las Vegas sports team when we talk Golden Knights. I like the Oilers. Oilers, so much offensive talent. I said if they could just figure out their goalie situation, their defense situation just a little bit. It doesn't even have to be good, just okay. that team is going to be damn near unbeatable. With Draisaitl, with Connor McDavid, Nurse, another, so they have an outstanding team there, offensively outstanding team, and so they're coming on strong right now. But so the Kings through March 9-1-2. Korpisalo has been fantastic. He lost his first game last night against Calgary. The Kings lost 2-1. He played fantastic, had 30 saves. We just couldn't put the biscuit in the basket. The Kings had 30-plus shots. They better start holding late leads, as you were telling me. How concerned are you there? And that's one of the things I was going to touch on. Whenever they have a big lead, this has been happening throughout the whole season, especially early in the season when we had Cal Peterson and Jonathan Quick as our goalies. There's multiple times the Kings had leads, 5-1, 4-0, 5-0, and they'd end up in overtime. And either they'd lose that game or they'd win that game, in overtime or through a shootout. I mean, multiple times. It's like whenever I see a game where they have a 4 or 5 goal lead, it's like, especially in the first period. The other day against, I think it was against the Blues, that was all in the first period. They were up 5-1, I think it was in the first period. And they gave up 3 goals in the second. So now it's 5-4 going into the third, and the pressure's on. You don't want to blow that huge lead. It's nerve-wracking. But 1-goal games, they're much better. And a 2-1 game, a 3-2 game, even the 3-1, or like a 4-2 game, they're pretty good at. But it's when they get those huge leads. And I don't know if it's a complacency thing. They're not overly physical, so I think that's part of it. They're more of a finesse team. So I wonder if their lack of physicality, comes back to bite them in the ass a little bit when they have that big lead. The other team's putting pressure on to try to score goals to get back into the game. Well, the Kings can't counter that with any kind of physicality. The Kings are near the tops of the league in block shots with their guys on ice, blocking shots before they get to net, and but the physicality just is not there. Not a very big team. Gavrikov did give us a little bit of physicality. He is a bigger defenseman, but Drew Doughty, as good as he is, he's more of a offensive weapon on defense. If that makes any sense, kind of like an oxymoron there. Doughty, don't get me wrong, he's a very good defenseman, but it just doesn't seem like he's not that physical type defense. You always need 1 or 2 of those guys on your defense that can go out there and really mix it up, and the Kings don't have that. Gavrikov is the closest that they have. He's played well since coming to the Kings from Columbus, but yeah, whenever there's a game where they're up, 4 or 5 goals early on, it's like, oh man, it makes me nervous, it makes me sweat, and but when they're up 3-1, I don't worry as much. It just seems like they're better there. I'm more controlling. Michael says, okay, since you're away from Mets versus Pirates this year, next year Penguins versus Kings, since I have absolutely 100%, we'll figure it out, and I'd love to do that 100%. I have a nice Pittsburgh story. I went out to this goes back to the beginning of the show when I said I'm not I'm a country bumpkin. I'm not a big city guy. I went out to Pittsburgh once for a football camp. I received an invitation to the offensive defensive lineman football camp, and my head coach in high school at the time told me they only give that out to so many offensive and defensive linemen throughout the state, and he goes, you're lucky to receive an invitation. I'm like, all right, that was awesome, but it's in Pittsburgh, it's at the University of Pittsburgh, so I was a little bit nervous. I never really traveled away from home. I think I was 16 or something like that. I barely traveled out of the county, Schuylkill County. It's barely traveled out of that, and not to get too graphic, but I end up going to Pittsburgh on a bus, a couple stops, so I take the bus out to Pittsburgh. I'm in the bus terminal, and my my mom she gave me a number to call a priest to give me a ride to the university. So I call this priest. Actually, I guess it'd be a pastor because he was a Methodist, and he never picked up his phone. So I'm like I'm 16 years old. I got $20. I'm like, what do I do? So I call a cab. What else would you do? And so I call the cab, and I'm waiting for the cab to pull up. They told me to wait outside, so I'm out there waiting, and I have $20 in my hand and my football equipment, which is just a helmet and some spikes. That's all I needed was the helmet. It wasn't a full pad thing, and so I'm out there waiting, and a homeless man comes up to me, and he starts rambling, talking really fast, kind of like I don't know if he's drunk or crazy or what. So I'm just kind of avoiding. I never had a homeless man come up to me before. It just doesn't happen where I'm at. And so I'm kind of like, trying to avoid him. Well, then he's kind of like walking in front, gets in my line of sight. So now I'm listening to him, and he pulls a bottle cap out, 3 bottle caps out, and he pulled a little red ball out of his ear. So it's really tiny. Puts it in his hand and starts doing like a roulette thing or whatever. And he told me to pick one. I'm like, I don't want to. He goes, pick one. I said, I don't want to. He goes, you're going to win. I said, all right, then I'll pick one. I picked the middle one. I won. He's like, all right, fantastic. Well, my cab pulls up. The cab driver gets out, and he goes, are you Ken? I said, yes. And he's like, all right. He goes, well, here, I'll take your bags. I'll put it in the trunk. I said, okay, that's no problem. Because it's a pretty big duffel bag. And the homeless man's rambling again, and he's talking and talking. Now all I have is my money in one hand. And so he puts his hand out with his 3 bottle caps. He goes, pick one. And I go, I don't want to. He goes, come on, pick one. I said, I'm going. He goes, pick one. All right. So I picked the middle one again. Well, I lost. I'm like, oh, well, I lost. He rips the $20 out of my hand. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, no, I don't know if this homeless man's going to shank me or make me his homeless bride. I don't know what's going to happen. So anyway, not to make this too long now, the cab driver came over. He's like, what's going on? I said, the homeless man took my money because I lost this game that I didn't want to play. Well, then the cab driver went to the homeless man, talked to him, said, hey, give him his money back. The homeless guy's like, no. And he's like, he's like, come on, give him his money back. And he goes like, all right, I'll give him half his money back. So I got half the money back. Didn't cover the cab fare, but the cabbie's like, no, don't worry about it. We'll get you where you have to go. And so long story short, I'm not taking the bus to Pittsburgh. So I'll meet you at the stadium. Not to get too far off subject like I already did now. Anyway, back to the Kings. That's my Pittsburgh story. Wait till you hear the Philadelphia. Never mind, I ain't gonna get into that one. Drew Doughty, like Maiko said earlier about Drew Doughty winning him some money. He's been pretty hot recently, scoring goals and stuff like that. He's been putting the biscuit in the basket, as it were. And so like with him, Victor Arvidsson's been playing really well lately. Now Kevin Fiala's back, which is huge. He was out for, I don't know, maybe like a couple of weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks, and he's still our leader in assists and points. Adrian Kempe, still racking up goals and assists, playing really, really well. So overall, the Kings are playing terrific. But my concern is coming up here, the end of the season through April here, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games left. And then it's playoff time. This is who the Kings have to end with. They have the Oilers coming up on the 30th, which is, the Oilers are sitting in 3rd place right now, are super hot. So they beat Las Vegas, who's the 1st place team. They beat Vegas last night 7-3, and it wasn't even that close. Then they got the Kraken, who are sitting 5th right now in the playoff race. And then they got Vancouver. Then they got the Oilers again at home this time. Then they got to go to Las Vegas, who's sitting at 1st place. Then they got Colorado at home, who's sitting in 4th place, who's coming on really strong right now. Then they got Vancouver and Anaheim to finish off. But there's some really, really big games right there at the end of the season. Oilers twice, the Kraken and the Golden Knights. So, and they struggle. The Kings have really struggled against the Kraken and the Golden Knights earlier in the season. They haven't seen those two teams probably since I want to say November maybe. So it's been a while since they've seen them, and so it's going to be interesting how the season finishes off. I still expect the Kings to make the playoffs, but it's going to get really, really tight. I think. I don't know. I could see the Oilers or the Avalanche taking over first place. Speaking of taking over first place, real quick, here's the standings. Because I've been on for a while here, and I'm starting to lose my voice. The Pacific Division, you have Las Vegas at 98 points. You have the Kings at 96 points. Edmonton at 95 points. And the Kraken at 88. Overall in the West, you have Las Vegas leading the West. LA in second place at 96. Minnesota, who's coming on really, really strong right now, 95 points. Edmonton, 95 points. Colorado, 94 points. Dallas, who Big Mike Loro from the 4 for 4 Locker Room podcast on Thursday nights at 8. Dallas, he likes Dallas to go to the Stanley Cup. They've been dropping off a little bit. They're at 94 points. Then you have Seattle, 88 points. Winnipeg at 85 points to round off the top 8. But then right there you have Calgary, who's been really struggling. They're right there. They're a win away from being in the playoffs. And then Nashville also coming on strong at the end of the season. So it's really it's a really tight race out here in the West. There's no one team that really has pulled away. So not like in the East where you have Boston and Carolina that already clinched and are signed, sealed, and delivered. So let's see. Mexico says, "Did you play in the Big 33 Classic, PA versus Ohio?" My kid didn't. I did not. That's one of the dreams that I had, and I guess I wasn't good enough. That's the only thing I ever come down to it. That's, it's one of those things that's, you hear that you're decent, and then you watch film. It's like, I don't know if I was really all that good. I don't know. But, from when I talk to my former teammates, they're like, no, you were good. I'm like, I don't know. I watch film. I don't look all that good. So I just, clogged up the middle, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, that was one of my big goals in high school was to play in the Big 33 game. I didn't really have too many visions of playing college football, so I didn't do all that well in school. But yeah, so that's where that's at. So that's all I have. I'm gonna play off our shows and sponsor lineup here real quick, and I'll be right back in 1 minute and 25 seconds. Fantastic. Beautiful. I love it. We have one more comment before I head out of here. Come on, baby. There it is. Maiko says, hopefully Crosby makes history Saturday. Bruins against the Bruins with his 11th season with 30 goals, passing Lemieux. I might sell that big money. That's huge. That's really, really big. Passing Lemieux in anything is huge. He's a godlike figure there in Pittsburgh. Me as a Kings fan, being a Gretzky fan when I was a youngster, is always arguing with the Penguins fans. Oh, Lemieux's better if Lemieux didn't get sick. I think I don't remember what his illness was, but there's he was I think in and out for a while. If Lemieux played all the years that Gretzky did, he would have passed Gretzky. I'm like, I don't know about that, but Lemieux was very, very good. Lemieux, Yager, that was a hell of a tandem there in Pittsburgh for many years. Stanley Cup champions. Maiko says Trayshawn Wiggins will be on Fight Club 215 Thursday at 10. Mark it down. I feel like there might be some calling out to be had there with Don King Promotions. Just recently signed another boxer, and Trayshawn's looking for a little bit of a fight there. So check out Trigger Trayshawn Wiggins on Fight Club 215 Thursday at 10 p.m. on Out of the Box Sports Network. Like, follow, subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that alert button, that little bell and stuff like that. When you're watching on Facebook, there's those stars. Hit those stars. Buy those stars, pass them along, or however you do it. I'm not even 100% sure how you do it, but now we're accredited enough where we can receive stars. So go ahead and toss some stars our way. We'll appreciate it. Yes, hashtag ADRQIN. Bronner, you're next. Oh, watch out, buddy. I think that's Adrian Bronner. I think that's what it is. That Q is throwing me off there. So it's like, follow, subscribe. Very important. We appreciate everybody out there watching, commenting. You make this a ton of fun. Like I said, awesome, great job to everybody that's sent comments my way. They make things a lot easier for me when you do. I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much. And yes, Paul, the grammar eagle was correct. So that's all I got for today. One last time, Monkey Cult Coffee. Check them out. Go to their website at monkeycultcoffee.com. When you're checking out, that promo code is OOTB Sports for your 10% off. Check them out. You know what I mean? Help them out. Helps us. Helping them out helps us out. We're helping each other now. Get your coffee, your cake on swag and stuff like that. Hit them up. It's looks like some really good products. Like I said, I'm gonna get some myself, and I'll probably do a review here, especially on the cake. Let's get back to the cake again. And one more before we leave, Eileen. Thank you for keeping me busy while I work. No, Eileen, thank you for keeping me busy. I appreciate Eileen. I appreciate you so much. You don't even understand. There's so many times where I'm sitting here thinking, what's his name? And you just throw it out there. It's like, thank you, Eileen. Beautiful. And Adam Glenn calling me a homer. Wait, Adam, I'm going to see you out in the streets, buddy. You wait. I've known Adam since a long, long time. His dad was my gym teacher. So that's all I got for today. Thank you for checking it out. Check me out again in 2 weeks. Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel, and I will see you then. Peace.